Today on American Outlaw, we have a special guest. He's going to show you the 6 CQB drills you need to master before you ever enter a CQB kill house. This is my buddy Phil. Phil, thanks for coming on the show, bro.
No problem, brother.
Hey, tell everybody who you are, what you do, why you're here.
Yeah, so spent 8 years in the Navy, did some time with the SEAL teams, I was a sniper. We're gonna be talking about CQB drills that we can do on a flat range so that we can kind of get more comfortable with it before we actually enter a house, start doing sim, force on force, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I figure if you're gonna learn, you wanna learn from the best, and we know that the team guys are some of the best that the country has to offer, and so it's really cool getting to hang out with them. It's really cool getting to see, currently what things are doing. War changes and TTPs change, and so it's nice to see somebody who's just now getting out, starting their own business. What's your business?
Yeah, so we do a lot of firearms instruction, and basically we start at that beginner level, we work to the intermediates, and then we do some more of the advanced side of things. This tends to get into the more advanced side, but we want to break it down starting with the beginning baseline methods of shooting in a CQB situation, if you want to call it that. So these drills aren't anything super fancy. We're talking more about shooting in a situation where it would present itself to us in a structure, right? And we're going to go live fire on the range today. You can do this on your flat range. You can do it with Mantis. You can do it with Sims, UTM, whatever you have access to. But this builds a baseline so that when you go and you take a course, you feel more comfortable with kind of that shooting and moving through a structure.
This is, for most people who are flat range people, everything that we're about to show you is very advanced. So beginning for shooters that have done this a long time, but for most of you, I think you're gonna be unbelievably surprised. So stick around to the very end for the 6 CQB drills you must master before you enter a kill house.
You can see we've set this up. This is any flat range that you can get to where you're allowed to shoot and move on it like we have out here. These are creating faux walls, right? Not everybody has access to a kill house. So in order to do these drills safely, we got it placed with the berm in the background. We built basically target walls. Here's our door jams. Pretend these are for infinity, right? So the drills are gonna be based off of what we create here. So the purpose of this drill, what we tend to see is when we're doing that lateral movement, so what we would call the pie in the door, we don't get a lot of practice with that movement, with that low, modified low ready into a shot, bam, bam, and we keep moving through. So my body position's a little bit different than if I was standing just on a standard flat range shooting like this. Everything's squared up, it's how I normally do it. If I'm gonna start walking a door, my body position is completely different. So I got a little bit more of a blade to try to minimize exposure to anything that's in that room. And as I'm moving, the gun is not on the sights, it's at that modified low. There's a target I can shoot from here. Now I'm coming back down as I continue my scan. The body position is going to change depending on what we see inside of the room and what kind of wall space we have on the backside here. So if I can get that wide bubble, I'm gonna take it. If we can't, we gotta shorten it up here and treat it like a hallway, and we'll cover down on that when Trey gets into the shooting piece here. And one real easy thing to work on, even out here on a flat range, we're not in a building, right, is creating the space from the door jamb. And the actual, this is considered like the threatening area, right? We don't wanna, when we start that pie, to be right up into here. It feels, people wanna go to that door because they're shooting into it, and then I see my targets here, bam, bam, bam. I've overexposed this to what I cannot see over here. So we need to back off that door, get what we can get on this side, and then we just start our movement from here, utilizing as much space. Now on a flat range, we got infinity. So treat it realistically. What is your normal size room that you can walk through? If there's furniture in the place, you can use boards like we're gonna do later. Shorten it up, use it as a hallway. Do not start your clearance from here. This is not where we wanna be, as far back as possible.
Okay, so question. If I'm here and I'm at a modified low ready,
right?
Why do I want to be at a modified low ready instead of already on the gun on my sights?
Yeah, it just gives us that peripheral, right? We're able to open up our vision and process what we're seeing in the room. So a big thing that new shooters, people that are new to like home defense or CQC, CQB, they get sucked into, I'm gonna shoot my gun, I gotta be on my sights. The processing that they're able to actually bring into their brain and tell them what's in the room just degrades rapidly. So if I got that modified low ready here, that's why we work lows and highs on the range, on the flat range. I'm here, I can look and see threat, maybe it's not a threat, maybe there's something that's kind of wonky in the back of the room, I'm trying to see around something. all I got to do is a quick snap. So that's what we work a low ready drill and try to get that under that sub-second. That's how fast we should be able to do it even as we process and move through.
So, okay, so question for you on low ready, because this seems to be something that I'm seeing all over the internet. Nobody has a standard for low ready.
Right.
So if this is low ready for me, over the top of my sight, I'm thinking I'm at his belt line. Where are you?
As far as for my low readies?
From your low ready, what are you seeing when you?
Yeah, I'm just looking just over the top here. So anything that's on that low end, I can still see out of the peripherals right in my left eye. That's also why we don't like, if we're gonna start getting into clearance of any kind, and we should be practicing this just on the flat ranges, 2 eyes open, right? See a lot of people get in here, and especially when they shoot pistols and they do like a home defense course, they close that eye and it's like, all stop, hey, you're missing all this stuff over here. We can't even, you're not even able to see it to process. So what I want to do is keep my peripheral as open as possible. The only piece that I really can't see is this part of my gun, right? And I can pretty much see around it as I process the room. My eyes are kind of moving around it. So I'm able to see everything I need to. If I have to come a little lower, we can do that too. It's not a big deal. What are we talking here? 5-6 inches to come up to it, right? So it's not a huge difference. If we're on the range and we want to say, start working our low ready drills, if we're not doing it for videos, you know, showing how fast we are, get the gun low. You know what I'm saying? I would start here, see what our time is there on our par time. Then, okay, this is way too low. I can see everything. Maybe I come up to here. Just kind of bring that up into my peripheral until I start to lose visibility of what I'm trying to shoot at. And then I'll start from there and work my way up and kind of start practicing that processing in the room.
Okay, here we go. Let's shoot one. All right, so I come up to the door. I'm here, I'm low ready. And so I want to, how tight on the door before I start my pie?
Right, so let's simulate that you have a door handle on this side, right?
Okay.
So we're gonna pop that door. Now there's a couple different schools of thought on how we wanna do that too, right? So if I'm gonna take this door, giving me a little bit more of an advantage, right? I'm gonna get this gun tucked up as far underneath of my arm as I can. I'm not going to lean out and reach in front, and I'm just gonna hit that door and I'm gonna shove it open and then separate myself from the door there. So I'm gonna go back as far as I can. So let's treat this as if it's a long haul right here. I'm gonna go back literally as far as I can go so that I'm getting as far into that corner as I possibly can, because that is the immediate threat of mine. And then I'm gonna start working my pie. Boom. What we don't wanna do, we see a lot of, as we're doing this movement, is like this stuff. We start like getting feet crossed up. We're not doing it like an Oski drill in football, right? Normal walking is the easiest way to do this. I'm just gonna come out and walk. Boom, boom, boom. We're gonna keep going. Down, boom, 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 okay?
All right, here we go.
We take up all the rest of the real estate we can get. Here we go. Excellent. What did that feel like when you were doing that?
So a couple of things that I had questions on when I was done backwards was, I feel like I stopped when I should have kept going after I shot.
Yeah. So as we, like, for first time people that are doing this, right? That's what I would do. I'm gonna get my clearance. I'm gonna start my movement. When I see my target, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna just make sure that I'm getting my good hits, because my body position is now different than what it normally is, right? If we start to incorporate the full movement across before we're comfortable with this, kind of this offshooting here, and I'm gonna keep walking, we're gonna start seeing rounds trail and lead. They're gonna go back and forth on the target because we're not comfortable with that swing, different body position, and a lateral movement. So I don't mind the stopping right at first. What it should look like is all the way over.
All right, see if we can simulate. Trying to be like Feel the Seal.
Don't be like me.
All right, here we go. Doors open.
All right, so you got all these different like IPSC, IDPA targets, right? We chose these ones because the idea behind these drills is to be able to shoot fast and accurately with the movement piece in it. So we've kind of limited what our effective hit area is. So we basically run like an A zone down, and then we got like your lower pelvis, stomach, but we want these in the A's. And then if we switch over and we start going to the headshots, we'd like to keep them in here. We start to really tighten up groups when we do that. But these targets allow your eyes to kind of focus on a certain piece that we're trying to hit. Simple spray paint, or you can pick these up online, and they're really good for these kind of drills because it forces your hand to focus on the area that we're actually trying to hit. So you can grab some duct tape, run it down the A zone, spray paint black on both sides. You can do these on angles, whatever you want to, depending on the scenario that we're setting up. So let's run it again.
All right, here we go. Door.
How'd that feel?
I felt a little bit smoother.
Smoother?
But I don't have my feet work down.
Yeah.
To where I feel like if I tripped over something, I'd be screwed right now.
Yeah. And I don't know if you notice it when you do it, and I do it myself sometimes still. Once I get that first target and I start shooting through it, and I've looked through my optic or my red dot, we tend to hone in on staying on our sights rather than coming back down, because we've just shot a target, boom, 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 and now my eyes just are locked on that red dot, and we start to see we'll lose a lot of that peripheral that we're trying to maintain the whole time. So it's not like a quick dump of, I shot a target, I'm gonna go back down to this like super low ready. It's gonna be coming across, and then I'm just down to here again. It makes it a little bit easier. I do like to kind of hone in on the red dots as I get to that kind of far thing, because this is where, and we'll talk about this drill later, is shooting through that crevice. I don't want to be super low and then I snap or I'm canted and now I'm hitting a door jam. So when I get to that kind of end part, I'm going to bring it up just so I kind of see a little bit more of it. And I'm just focused on this little corner area right here, but we'll talk about that drill later.
Go ahead. I did it again.
That felt it looked way smoother, and your footwork was just natural walking, right? We get kind of sucked into the weeds on like footwork a lot. If you're super new to this, we just walk. You get comfortable walking, because as we're moving through here, we're essentially having to pivot around, right? Like our hips are transitioning with the movement of the actual threat that we face. So there are times where I'm gonna be here, and then I have to turn my hips to get around. Otherwise, you're doing this number, we can't shoot like that, it looks stupid. So when the hips move, we just walk backwards in that kind of semicircle. That looked really good. Footwork was really good there. No stoppages, came down, dropped that modified low. It was awesome.
So guys, one of the reasons why you want to have, so there's a difference in practice. If you're out here by yourself, you're practicing. Instruction or a class through an instructor that is better than you and has the skills to be able to do it and watch you and correct you, that's instruction. That's real training. So make sure you get the difference in I'm practicing and I'm training. If you're on the range by yourself, you're not training, you're practicing.
Try to shoot while you move. That most people don't do. They go out and they get 100 rounds, come up, high ready, low ready, boom, 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 shoot a couple bill drills, do a transition, like I'm good to go. Now let's laterally move back and forth. We can even take, if you had to, if we didn't have this set up right and we wanted to kind of work that same kind of movement, we don't need to build a door jam here. You don't have to have this. We can simulate any of this stuff. We can put a target in the middle and start that walk and just snapshot, boom, 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 down. And we can keep doing that over and over again until we feel comfortable that as we're moving, we're still hitting what we're aiming at and having our body do these different things that we're not used to because we do this all the time. Hey, that feels way more comfortable now if I'm here and I'm more bladed off, because this is like a cardinal sin, right? To shoot like this is like old marksmanship NRA stuff. Nobody does that anymore. We get put in those positions with our foot placement as we move. It just happens. So this is even overkill for like somebody who's just getting into it, but I think it drives the point home for that low ready to process what we're looking for. So this next drill is like your worst case scenario, but it's super easy to set up, and you can do it either with this, or you can just do a modified one where we do that low ready and we explode back as we kind of pop a door and start to engage. So if I were to open a door here with proper PID, right? That's like the biggest thing with all this stuff, is make sure that that is actually somebody that we are trying to shoot at or something. If I swing this door open here, boom, and somebody's right there, theoretically we can start shooting from here. I can. I'm looking down. It's more of that instinctual kind of point shooting. I can do that from here. Realistically, we want to create space, so that's a move back as we engage from there. Okay, so you can do that even on a flat range just by simulating a chicken wing, and then on a shot timer, beep, boom, 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 and then we're gonna bring the gun up and shoot from there. So if you're gonna set up the door jams, make sure there's not a bunch of stuff in the way that you can hit and like hit yourself in the face with it, because you can frag yourself pretty good out here. So, all right, you want me to run it, Trey?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just a fast simulation. The gun is tucked up under my arm. It gives me that kind of stability. If I'm gonna throw a door here, I can, from here, shoot, like super easily. This takes a lot of practice. I have to have muzzle, discipline, whatever. I probably wouldn't want to do that unless I've done this several times, right? So chicken wing, door gets popped, and I'm gonna engage. I'm gonna make sure everything's good. Then we continue that movement around the room. Drop to that modified low, clear, 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 and all the way over, see what I need to see, okay?
So here I am, I've got my gun tucked in, what'd you call it, chicken wing?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pop the door. Am I on safety right now?
Yes.
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 Safety, finger off the trigger.
Yes.
Okay, and then as soon as I know that that's a threat, safety's off as I'm coming up.
Correct.
Okay, then do I put the gun back on safety as I start my pie?
As a good practice, yeah.
Okay.
We should start there, right? Because we're in that initial phase of, we're trying to get good PID, right? We don't want to have to be taking a shot and going, oh, what did I just do kind of thing. So give yourself that extra split second, gun goes on safe, tone it down a second, that modified low, and then we continue the movement there.
What is PID?
Positive identification. So we want to make sure that it's not your kids, your wife, dog, cat, whatever it is in the house, or whatever the situation may be. We don't just run in there and start slinging bullets, right? We can take that extra 0.3 of a second and kind of look, okay, I know what that is. Oh, that's not what I want to shoot at, and we can come down off of that. That's why we don't go finger on trigger, on fire, get startled, and that's the initial thing, is now I've sent something that I didn't want to shoot.
Okay, so another question here is, let's say I pop this door and I see that that's a person, but I was looking at the door and I just barely caught it, and I don't know if they have a gun. Then what?
Yeah, then we're gonna have to kind of modify what we're doing here. Are we going white light? If it's dark in the house, like if it's in your house, and say you're home alone, you're like, nobody's supposed to be in here. Now we start, that's that processing that we talked about in the beginning here, is like, takes a lot of time to learn what our brains are gonna do when we're processing threat, non-threat, lethal, force, non-lethal. Maybe that's a command call. If somebody's not supposed to be in there, you go, hey, what are you doing here, kind of thing. We're not just immediately like, human, boom, and starting to send rounds, right? So yeah, that becomes like a decision-making thing.
Yeah, okay. All right, here we go. Let's run it, I feel fast. I'm just kidding, I feel slow. I feel, when he shoots versus when I shoot, I feel so slow. All right, here we go. I wonder if I can do the feel shoot. Let me just try. I think I hit it all 3 times. All right, here we go. All right, ready? Pop the door, there's the guy. All right, now I'm back down. I'm pieing. Oh, I'm in my sight. Ah, son of a biscuit.
How'd that feel?
I think it felt really good.
Yeah.
I got on this guy really fast. I was still like, these are me right here. And I saw myself hit that low.
Yep.
But it was like I picked it up and just started hammering down, because I just thought, as soon as I see it, shoot.
And we're talking proximity, so that's that. As we're basically coming back, as we come up, you started to shoot because it's proximity. We're close up here. Hey, we had good positive ID. Now I'm shooting as it's coming up. That's kind of where we want that progression to get. If we're talking baseline, back, get on your sights, engage, boom, boom, boom. What we're looking for is that it's outside of just a low ready snapshot. I am introducing a movement into it to create that separation while it's coming up, and I'm acquiring sights, and now I'm shooting. So we're adding 2 little steps to the actual drill. Like I said, we don't need the door jam. We can do this out here flat, just simulate that hop back and bring the gun up, shoot, do it again, just keep doing it, and we can make those distances greater as we get better at it. I think that kind of helps students out too.
All right, listen, guys, I want you to step in here to my office.
Step into my office.
Why?
Because you're fucking fired.
Boom! All alphas, baby. All alphas. I'm just saying.
Those are his.
Oh, no. My buddy Phil
Right here.
is freaking awesome. Those were match shots.
That's where I was aiming.
All right, let's do drill number 3.
Okay, so drill number 3. It's a simple movement drill, but I think it drives home the point of that shooting and moving with a little bit of a lateral step into our threshold, we'll call it, all right? So we built a fake door here. These are obviously walls that run, we cannot see on the other side. This target over here is simulating something that's tucked way back in that last little bit that we can't see. So the drill is super easy to do. We do it how we normally would. We get all the way to what we can't see in the end. Now we're gonna do a breakdown for this one. As we step through the door, the gun comes down and then back up. And then we're gonna continue our clearance, right? So this is a simple heel toe walk, break the threshold, gun comes up, and we start to engage. This one what we're looking for with this primarily is, as the shooter, I wanna make sure that my dot is not doing this, right? Trying to keep that dot as calm as possible, even with the movement and the shooting. And also it's that snap off of coming from the low ready here, or sorry, the high ready, and then bringing it out real quick. That's what we're kind of looking to do.
Okay, so question. It starts in modified low ready, right?
Yep.
Because I've essentially panned the room. So I guess I would have started here and panned the room.
Correct.
Okay, so I've started here, I've panned the room, I don't see anything. Now I'm back here where I can't see. And the reason why I am breaking the gun down is because I'm trying not to hit this threshold.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Simulate
okay.
if there's a door jam here.
So door jam, guys, that if just so you can like understand it, that if I came here, I would hit the door jam. So we're breaking the gun down underneath, stepping through. Is there any special footwork that I need to know? The internet is beating me to death on footwork, Phil.
Yeah, let's just keep this like baseline. If we're starting off like, hey, I've never done this before, what's
Just
the easiest
walk in
way?
the room.
How would I walk into this room normally? Like, I'm gonna go in the laundry room. You know what I'm saying? It's a literal movement of just, I have to go this way, I'm gonna go that way, and then I'm gonna keep walking. The only difference is I have this gun here, and as I come through, this is a simultaneous like movement, right? As the leg breaks the threshold, it's here. And now I got the gun up. So all I'm doing is introducing this into walking into a room.
Okay.
Just to keep it super simple.
We're gonna call him Footwork Phil.
Footwork Phil, here we go, baby.
I'll trip on the next
All right, here we go. Let's see if I can get her.
What'd you think?
I felt like I got it caught underneath my
Yep.
arm. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. And this is, we talked about it. If we don't have to break down, then we won't do it. I like to do it because most of the time, people are doing this stuff with 14-inch guns, you know, and they got the longer barrels on them. We can't necessarily get that through. This door is clearly bigger. I'm a smaller guy. I can pretty much get through a door with this amount of breakdown where I just kind of blade off a little bit and then come through. I don't necessarily have to do this. I think it's good practice though. It adds a little bit more of a dynamic movement of like, hey, I'm not anywhere near the sights. Now I'm going to a high ready drill while moving forward. So if we want to break it down to its simplest form before we even do this, we can start here, walk forward, and then just present and shoot. Where is it comfortable for you to then get the gun back out? Right there, right? That's kind of what you would practice as your high ready drills on a flat range. If you just came out here and you're shooting, where do you normally keep that? If we're talking multiple people or like you have another guy on that side of the wall, maybe we got to come up a little bit more, okay? As far as like trigger and safety manipulation for people that are getting into this right now, we're gonna do it super basic, right? Fingers out, safe is on until I have good target identification. The gun is now in my shoulder. I have good sights on, safety's off. Now we're gonna start to prep that trigger, just because we need to build as we go.
Sure, and we're doing this now for home defense. This is, basic CQB that if you learn with, you get this down and you add another guy and you add 4 and maybe you're an airsofter and you add 20. Or maybe whatever you need it for, I don't know. But I'm thinking right now that this is potential saving my family. And so if I'm saving my family, I just woke up at night and I'm groggy and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm in my freaking underwear. Or maybe you're free balling. I don't know what you guys do. But like, safety on, finger off the trigger is the way to go until you know that you have to shoot this guy. That's coming from, like, we both agree on that.
Yeah, I think that's a good practice, just to start and finish with always.
All right, here we go. Let's give her another run.
All right, so let's focus on that modified high ready and where it feels really comfortable as it comes out of that into that shoulder pocket. So that's the focus here.
Okay, here we go.
That looked smoother.
Yeah, it felt pretty good.
Felt smooth. Here's a big thing that when we go over this stuff, right, we don't want to overthink basic things that we do every day, right? We can get super into the weeds on all this stuff. We go out to a range and we do high ready, low ready all the time. All we're doing is now walking in it, right? So when you stop thinking about all that stuff and the gun just comes out and it's where it's supposed to be, now we're like, oh, I felt it, it was right. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. We keep going, then we can progress from there and build. How did your elevation on was that comfortable where you were here?
Yeah, I think that was fine, yeah. It felt like when you said do it like you would normally do it, and I was just like, oh, okay, this was where I would normally do it. And so once I did that, I also didn't get caught in my jacket.
Right.
Yeah. I guess the first time what I was thinking when I got caught in my jacket was I felt like in my brain maybe, now that I think about it, is like, this will be faster. But the truth was it wasn't. I got caught in my jacket, and the way that I always did it was faster.
Yeah. We always kind of revert back to that. We hear it all the time, is like, you will revert back to what you do all the time. And we were talking holdovers too, like, we put the dot where we want it to go, even if we know we have a holdover when like the stressors go. Same thing with this kind of, I'm doing something different, now I'm caught, what do I do? Instead of just, I do this all the time, there it is. Same with the low ready stuff too. Footwork, we'll talk about footwork. That looks super, it was like smooth, right? There's no hiccups, there's not this over analyzing, stepping too far forward, then going too far that way, then I'm not far enough into the room when I initially want to be. So that was just a walk, lift, and shoot. Looked really good. It did. It was smooth.
What I am seeing is, so it kind of progressed to where guys were really compressing like this.
Yep.
And then stuff was getting caught up on kit, and now I'm seeing a lot of this.
Right.
And then they come into the room and drive.
Yeah, right. A lot of that over-the-shoulder stuff. We went high port because it's easier to lean on like door jams when you're like relaxing.
I'm tired, man.
Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit of that. That over the shoulders, it's gaining a little bit of popularity. There's a lot of different schools of thoughts on it, right? I had always done this under the arm, going through a doorway, and I felt comfortable doing that. As I've kind of played around with this, it's a little bit easier to clear things that way, like as far as things that I'm going through, and I feel like I'm faster for the presentation. I think one overlooked aspect of doing this as we come through is an immediate thing that I have to deal with. How accurate can we be taking shots from up there? Not that we want to do that, right? We always want to have that good base where the gun comes out and it's in the shoulder, boom, I'm here. This is where we want to shoot from. In the event, say, there's something real close to me, what is the actual effective distance that we can engage from here accurately? So that's, if you guys are kind of super into that and this feels really comfortable coming over the shoulder, I would incorporate maybe a baseline training, and you don't need to do any walking, movement, or anything, right? So we can come out to here and literally stand here and come over our shoulder and just see, where am I hitting, right? It gives me at least a baseline, like, hey, if I'm coming through and I'm right here, I can point shoot to maybe 10 to 15 yards. And that's stretching it out there. Now we're talking at 15, just hitting the body. I'd be pretty happy with that. Takes a lot of practice to do that shoot from here. The goal isn't to keep shooting from here, right? The goal is to eventually get the gun into the shoulder pocket as we're moving forward. But if we had to, how accurate are we? So a simple drill to do is what we just did, right? Come out to the line, gun goes over the shoulder, we're on safe, fingers out. Shoot a 2-shot group, just see where we hit. Okay, I'm at 8 yards there. I had one burner on the C and one in the A. So I feel pretty comfortable with that. Now the next drill, maybe we back out just a little bit. Don't even incorporate the door, okay? And we're gonna come in. We're gonna close the gap there. Now where did we hit? So if we look, first shot, it's acceptable. It's not where I would want it if I'm going here. And then once the gun goes into the pocket and we close the distance, then our group starts to tighten up, obviously, okay? And then as we progress, we get into doors. Coming through an actual door and taking a lateral step, it gets really difficult to do it that way. So we'll run it just starting here. So the drill progression should be 5 to 7 yards, that over the shoulder, see where I'm hitting. Then the next one is presenting into the shoulder as we're moving. So coming off that high thing, take maybe 1 to 2 shots as we're moving, get it in the pocket, shoot from there, then we'll build the door in.
Now that I'm gonna bring this up to you, go back and look at all of the instruction that Phil's been doing. We typically, whenever we're on a flat range, all of our stuff is get a really good base, come up, fire, right? If you notice, every single time he's making this first shot, or almost every time, it's like this. It's crazy, huh? I think that's why everybody says that the flat range, like, when you think you have it figured out on the flat range, do you actually have it figured out? But like, his first shot every single time has been here, second shot, and you see what I'm saying? Just because you have it down here doesn't mean you really have it down, and that's kind of one of the things we're trying to show you throughout this video.
So how did that feel? Like, it's kind of wonky. We got the gun canted a little bit.
I don't know how to explain. Like, I'm trying to focus on the target and like have my, it just feels so not unstable, just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonky's a good word.
Yeah, a little bit wonky.
Yeah. Now, I do feel though, like I can, at least at this distance, I can hit it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at like 5 to 7, it's comfortable, but you shoot a lot too, right? So if somebody that's like kind of new to it and they're like, I want to get into this and try it, maybe we go to something a little more basic first. So the drill progression, if you want to go out and just do it on a flat range, is get that feel for where it is, which we just did. And then the next thing that we really want to work on is the speed of to here. And then I'm actually seeing my sights so I know what I'm actually shooting at. So we feel good. Hey, we can make those hits. So now the next drill.
So it would just look like this?
Yep. Exactly. Start with a 1-shot string, then maybe go up to doubles, start shooting 2 shots. There we go. Yep. Yep.
It's a good drill.
Then the last kind of step of this is that coming off, getting to the shoulder pocket as we're moving, right?
Okay, so it should be, then I should be here.
Yep.
And yeah, or shoot first up here, shoot first here in this drill?
If we're talking strictly like where do we want the gun to be, it's to get to here as fast as possible. Now as we build, we can go the whole way out. We can start that shot and see what we're doing. If we want to get the most out of the drill, it's the moving and to get it into our shoulders, what we're looking for.
Okay, so then it's just here, here.
Right. I kind of like to introduce that, hey, we're gonna try this, because a lot of people are doing this now. I want them to see how difficult that is, and me and you can both agree that it is not easy, and we both shoot quite a bit. There's a lot of variation in where we can hit.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. These CGS suppressors are incredible. They have one of the least blowbacks on the market, but when your face is over the top of it, like, it doesn't matter what you have, and I can only imagine a suppressor like that is horrible at blowback.
Right.
Yeah.
Be eating gas like crazy. So the progression is, can I do it? And if we can't do it, maybe we start thinking about different ways of incorporating, like coming into a room, right? If we're good at it and we're like, hey, I got good hits, so I'm capable enough to do it, then we can continue to build on it. But the theoretical progression is to get it to here faster. So that's where we can work that. You could literally stand here on the flat range and just boom, over and over again. Put yourself on a clock. That always seems to add like a massive amount of stress for some reason. And guys will start screwing stuff up. And then we start to incorporate the walking, which we just did. So super easy, and it doesn't take a lot of rounds. I mean, you can do it in a mag. Shoot a mag a day of it, if that's what you want to do.
So one of the things I would say, guys, is I don't believe, and I think Phil will agree with me on this, I don't believe that there's any one right way. I kind of think you should be familiar with all of them, because you never know when that's what you're going to have to do. And so the point of purposeful practicing or training is so that you're so comfortable with this gun that it's just like second nature.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I've been out here with Phil for the last couple hours. He can do every way. He can do all three of them, whatever, low ready, high ready, over the shoulder. That's fine. Crap, I even think you need to be able to do it where maybe I wasn't paying attention, or maybe I was working on something and I had to get my gun up and still shoot, right? Like, you need to be so familiar with this gun that it's just second nature to you. And I think that a lot of things that I personally see with people is like, they only take the gun out once or twice a year, or maybe they're kind of scared of it. It's like they're kind of like I don't know, like they're just and I know in your mind you're saying, I'm not scared of my gun. I get it, but you're just kind of just not comfortable with your gun. That's that's how I would describe it.
Yeah, this a big part of this, like if you want to come out and train CQB and this is what you want to get into, more importantly than anything that I find is it builds confidence in gun owners when they have another understanding of a different subject within firearms, right? You can be really good shooting along a lateral line with a bunch of people and you're hitting bullseyes all the time, you can shoot fast. Now we start to incorporate a little bit of movement, we got to kind of start over. Now we start to incorporate, faux walls and targets in corners or whatever. What is that really doing is the confidence level you see people get, like, now I know how to do that. I at least have a baseline understanding of it. So I think that makes people just better shooters, more comfortable around guns. I think that's where we want them to be, right? This is a drill for working that lateral progression into the room, or the lateral movement, I should say. So one way to do it is to get as far over as I can. I know that this is a wall here and there's nothing that I haven't seen because I started and I looked all the way through the room. I get to here. The only thing I haven't seen is this last little bit here, so I can present into here and shoot from here as I continue through. And the thought process of that is I'm going towards what I haven't seen yet, and that's going to be the most accurate engagement that I can do as a shooter. The other way that people like to do it, and this is where you got to kind of work this on like your range here, which is what we're doing, is moving laterally of the threat in the corner of the room there. So the idea is that I don't want to be presenting myself to him as I move towards him, right? Makes it easier for him to shoot back at me. If I move this way, it makes it harder for him to pick up and track and shoot. The question that I always have is, how good are we as shooters shooting as we move across something, right? So me and Trey are both righties. This room will be a little bit easier. So I get to my threshold here, and as I come in, okay, now right there I can tell you I had 1C in the top shoulder, right here, shot number 4, this one here. Because my sights, as I'm walking, I'm not tracking back on them. And this is the easier way for us to actually shoot it, because I'm going with the way that my body is built. We get into crossbody shooting, which we'll talk about. It gets even harder because as for me, I get older, I can't turn all the way. So Trey, you want to run it now? Kind of see. What I want you to really focus on is call your misses, if you have any. You probably won't, you'll probably hit them all, but if you have a miss, call it.
Okay, so going back to the same thing that we've always done here, we're going to enter this room low ready.
Yes, it's the same.
Modified low ready?
Yep,
okay, and then we're not taking our safety off or finger on the trigger till we see the threat.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, here we go. And I've already cleared this one, so I'm coming in. Yeah, I had a missed shot to the right. Number three shot was to the right. This could have been me right here because I was tracking my sights down as I was shooting that. Positive that's me.
Yep.
And then everything else, while I was moving, my sights were tracking way low.
Right. So this is like a good part of this to do. that you can do just by walking back and forth on a range and working that as I'm shooting, calling that shot. That's why I prefaced the drill with that. I wanted you to kind of be focusing on that so you knew, hey, 1, 2, 3 was way out there and I saw it happen. Why? What is the why behind why I ended up way out here? We were probably walking and the gun started to fade with us.
Right. I literally remember seeing my first, I had my dot here.
Yep.
And then I know second and third, and I was like, I don't know if it was like a movement in my feet now, but I do remember seeing my sight go off, and I was like, I pressed the trigger, and I was like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yep.
In my mind, I should have paused one more second, but
yeah. And it's good to know when we have those misses. So what we would like to do now is maybe slow down the walking for both of us, slow it down a little bit, and just focus on 5 hits in the A.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do that.
Let's do it. Pressure's on. Pressure's on. Let me stretch out my legs. All right, here we go. So
as soon as we start to feel that kind of go, we're losing control, throttle down just a little bit.
I might have pulled that last one.
Now she's clean. Look at that.
Nice.
Excellent. Okay, so now that we do that, say we do that 2 more times at that speed, we kind of build that, call it 30% of what we're comfortable walking at, right? Felt like we were going pretty slow. We got hits. Now, would I like these groups to be tighter? Yeah, obviously. But hey, we got 5 A zone hits each. Next thing, we're gonna speed up just a little bit more. We build that in until that spread goes. Now you throttle back again until we get comfortable there. It's all progression as we're doing it. This is the easier way to do that lateral walk, and you don't need all this stuff, right? We can do this 10, 15 yards walking back and forth out here. You get the same thing out of the drill. I like to set these up because it mentally forces us to do those little nuances that you have to do going through a doorway, okay?
Yeah, and one of the things that I noticed about setting this up, I realized this is like probably a 12 by 12 room, which would be like a kid's room. And mentally, without even knowing, I know that there's a wall there.
Right.
So it's like I need to shoot faster, I need to take my steps a little slower, and I need to stop. All that's processing as I'm shooting,
yes,
which I think makes it just a little cooler than just walking across the range. But totally understand if you can't do this, especially if you live in one of those commie states. All right, guys, listen. This is a problem that I think this is a real problem. We've seen a video where we saw a bunch of tier 1 guys blistering through a house, and they've even termed it, it's like on Reddit and shit, it's called Delta Fast. All right, I think you think that all CQB is that fast because you see these guys, but CQB isn't really that fast. It just looks fast because they're doing all of the fundamentals correct. Right, Phil?
Yeah, that's a good point. We can go very slow through, and it's still, if things are flowing correctly, it does look fast, and it will. Takes a lot of repetition to get there, hours, days, weeks. That's why I like doing this stuff, because you can spend hours doing this and still find flaws in all of your shooting, as we've seen today out here, just doing it together, right?
One of my really good friends, his name's James Yeager, was James Yeager, I guess still is James Yeager. One of my mentors, he told me, how long do you have to do CQB? The rest of your life. Don't rush to your death. All right, roll it, baby.
Alrighty, so we got normal for us being righties is coming through the doorway that way, and the gun is where it's supposed to be. Now if we talk about crossbody, where I have to turn my body as I'm moving this way because I am a righty. We can get into switch shoulders, all this stuff, that we got to start practicing more of that, because people think that I can switch a shoulder, I can shoot this way. I know I'm slower and my target acquisition is rough, going to my non-dominant eye. So I want to practice this. This is what I'm going to do for my own repetition training, right? So I get as far as I can see, and then I'm going to make my entrance. Okay, now, an easy way for me to kind of get my base back, I have terrible flexibility now, right? Like, as we get older, we get more tight. I can't turn all the way around to here. So, my feet are gonna kind of do some of that work as I'm moving, and I end up walking almost backwards as I'm shooting. Because this is what I'm focused on here. Like all this other stuff going on here, I've already cleared all this up. This is the last thing that I'm worried about, okay? So I'm not worried about here. If I gotta turn my back to an empty wall, it doesn't really matter, honestly. I'm focused on getting good hits on the target there. And we are clean. Now I went slower. I went a little bit slower because I know if I ramp through there, I'm gonna fade shots and they're gonna go off. I know that about myself. So maybe next time I go a little bit faster, call it 10%. So let's see how that feels, getting that kind of that little bit of a pivot as we move through.
Okay. So I've come through. I'm gonna come through the threshold. Am I breaking down?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we go, break down, see my guy. Oh, I pulled that one. I pulled that very first shot far left. Oh, I can see it on the target.
Yep. And that's usually where we see that, is that initial bring up as we're moving. This is going one way or another, if that makes any sense at all, right? Because I got a good base here, and as I present out, I'm taking a step here as I'm coming up, and things will either, they'll go with me or they'll go away from me, is what I tend to see more often than not. And then we got to kind of dial back in, which you did. So first round, boom, you're way off. Next four, right in the middle.
Right? You know what's going on in my brain is, so this has like an EOTech circle dot reticle in it, and I just like watched it float.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was like I was pressing the trigger and it was still happening, because in my mind I think I would make myself put it back, but it was like it floated and I shot. It was weird.
Yeah, because I don't know the, what do we call it, the neuroscience or whatever behind it, but to me it's as I'm moving one way, the hands and everything else want to go with it. That's why when I turn all the way over like that, it gets super difficult, because my natural body wants to move back to the way that I'm moving because it's comfortable for my torso to be there. If that makes any sense. So I think for me to do this, it's the presentation and then one step over, and if I can roll my hips and comfortably do that, I now have a better shooting base, and all I got to do now is walk backwards. Which
all right,
we can
let me see if I can try that. Dudes, this is the hardest one we've done so far. So I'm here.
That was better.
I didn't have the pivot though. I think I like came across and just started walking backwards, but I mean, I guess if I'm just walking to get in the room, I walk to get in the room.
Yeah. And how natural does it feel, I guess, is the next question that we're...
I felt like, in my mind, I felt like to go slow and make sure that it was there, that I needed to walk like that. I mean, I know that I could have, but yeah, I felt like, I don't know what I did. I felt like when I came through, it just was immediately I started walking back. That's what I did.
It's
right?
almost it's almost like you're when you take that initial step into the room, then we go this way. You just did it, but because you're already here, when you stepped in, instead of going that way, because you're going this way, you just took that next step back, and it just opened you up. Now let's have you do it where you don't do the pivot at all and see what happens.
Don't do the pivot.
Just use the trunk.
Walk?
Just walk through and use your trunk like this.
Okay.
Now we're gonna have to get the shots off faster, because we're not gonna be able to turn all the way around and get 5 shots off in this corner. We cannot be here shooting like this. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if I could do this. All right, here we go.
See, we go right back to it. That feels comfortable. Now, how awkward did that feel?
I mean, I'm like old and broken, and I can't even move my body that much. I don't even know. I watched my dot jump all. Look how bad I was shot right there. Dude, I watched my body jump. Like I could watch it jump,
Right.
and I couldn't control it.
Right, and that's because it's just tension is pulling it. So what does the shot placement show us realistically as we move that way and our torso's trying to go this way? This is when we start to see the drag come across. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
that's why when I said, hey, do it this way, the next round that you did it, you did that same step where you turn, because we have to open up to shoot that direction. So it's just, that's what you naturally did. If you take the thought process out of it and you're not thinking, where are my feet going? What is my shoulder doing here? And you just walk to shoot because you have to get 5 rounds before you hit that 8-foot wall over there. You took a slight pivot step and just open your hips up to it. It's like running a football drill where we turn to go that way as a cornerback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same principle. We're just doing it with a rifle now. So it's super cool for me to see, like, run it the way that you theoretically are supposed to, just walking towards that way and doing it. And we see that drag, and that's not good, right?
Yeah.
Now you were shooting faster too because you had to. You're hitting that wall faster because you can't get all the way over there. So it's a super cool drill. I think it's a good one to do because we never practice that. Now, if we wanted to progress more, we would do the switch shoulders, but I would start real slow, just standing there and doing the switching shoulders and then coming up and seeing what our eyes are doing and looking into the sights. Okay, so that's a different drill for a different thing. This just shows it's a lot harder to move crossbody lateral than it is to come in on our strong side and just walk across the room. So, but good shooting otherwise. That was first two into that wall. Banging. I'd see what I can see, then I break down. That's like the speed I would move, but I'm all over the fucking place. I'm not hitting accurately. I get 7 shots, 5 in, and then 2 I got in a D and 1 in a C. And I know where they are because I'm able to kind of look, okay, I'm still doing that pivot even though I'm going at a faster rate. If I were to do, I don't even think I can do it, honestly. If I were to come through that wall, that threshold, I'm all over the place. So I start to see the trail. I'm coming through, can't get my torso to go all the way over that way. So I start walking rounds, boom, boom, boom. I see this hit and I go, what do I gotta do? I'm way off, I gotta come back. Overcorrection. Because I'm way out of body alignment there. So that one little kind of pivot step, turning around just a little bit, getting a good base, we can do 5 in all day. Then we ramp speed as we go, get more comfortable. So it's a cool drill to do. I would say that's probably the harder of the ones that we've done today.
That's the hardest drill we've done so far. Yeah, that's the hardest drill, the one I'm least comfortable with. The problem for me as a shooter is I tend to shy away from the ones I'm least comfortable with, and I need to attack the ones I'm least comfortable with.
Yeah, that's it's a trend with everybody, and I do the same thing, like strong hand, weak hand kind of thing. Like, you don't have a weak hand. I have a weak hand. It's my left hand.
Yeah.
My left hand is weak. I'm not a good left-handed shooter. I know that if you start doing this stuff, it makes it easier to build that into this style of drill training, because we almost see that we could almost be forced to go to a switch shoulder to make it easier for entry on a room, depending on what direction it's going. Like, if I was super comfortable switching left shoulder, that makes that easy.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure there are people out there. I don't know a lot of gunfighters that switch shoulders when they're actually shooting at a bad guy, because it's not comfortable for us. Do I think you should practice it? I do. I think you should know both sides in case you're injured. I suck my weak shoulder. I suck with my weak hand. Now, you see me with my pistol. I'm trying to get better, but and I should try to get better with my off shoulder, but it's just not something that I've heard practiced, I don't think, ever. I'm not saying it's not a thing, but it's probably not a thing.
Yeah, we should be able to focus on getting good with their strong arm.
Yeah.
Let's start there, and then we'll go. You know what I mean?